Hello and welcome to the Live Life Boldly series. I'm your host, Alex Turner, and I'm conducting a series of interviews with amazing, high-profile, gloriously inspiring women entrepreneurs and online business owners from all around the world. And today is no exception. So I'm really excited to introduce you to our guest today. Debbie is a former investment banker and a US expat currently living in Israel with her husband and children. She helps high-achieving women take charge of their money so that they can build wealth, give generously, and live a life of choice. Avoiding financial mumbo-jumbo, Debbie uses everyday language to help her clients to get clarity and move beyond financial overwhelm. Her coaching approach blends no shame or judgment with mindset work and practical skills to help women become empowered leaders of their money. And here today to talk to us about taking charge of personal finance and building wealth, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Debbie Sasson. Hello, Debbie.
Hello, Alex. Thank you so much for inviting me here today.
You're very welcome. It's my privilege and my honor, really, to talk to you about such an interesting topic, money, something that is quite a taboo subject quite a lot, but is so important when building businesses, and it's what we need to get by, arguably.
Right. I mean, it's the one thing. I mean, actually, money and food, those are the longest lasting relationships that we have our whole life, you know, from the beginning, even when we're in our mommy's tummy, how she ate obviously affected us, and the money that she had obviously impacted what she was able to eat and nourish herself with, and then how our parents also related to money, whether we got that sort of through osmosis or through the messages that we have, and we carry that through with us our whole lives.
Such a fascinating topic, and inherited, and we pass it on as well.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So tell us a bit more about you and your business and where you are right now.
So as you said, I'm in Israel, and I've been living here for over 29 years, nearly 30 years now. But I started in the States, grew up in Los Angeles, and then made my way eventually after college to Wall Street. And worked in New York, London, and then, you know, I'm Jewish, I live in Israel, so I moved to my homeland. And I was working at our central bank for many, many years. But 15 years ago, my husband became sick with cancer. And yeah, he's fine now, thank God, he's great, he's wonderful, he's, you know, doesn't even do his checkups anymore, it's been so many years. But for us, that, you know, that's a huge life wake-up call. And being the mother of, at the time, 6 small children, I got nervous, what's going to be? And we started sort of, you know, putting our things in order. And when you have a family, especially 6 kids, one after the other, we didn't really have time to focus on our money and our personal finances. You know, in our nature is not to be spenders. You know, we take care of ourselves, we buy what we need, and we have, you know, also nice things to enhance our life, but we're not the type of couple that goes into credit card debt or have huge bank loans. But we never really paid close attention. And putting our life in order, all of a sudden I started discovering huge mistakes that we had made with our money. And me being the banker in the family, you know, I have to say it was really, you know, kind of my mistakes, because I made really dumb investment choices thinking that I was like some hot shot, you know, and I knew what I was doing. And we ended up paying really high fees to investment managers. And I took a hot tip and lost like $50,000 really quickly, like in a very, very short period of time. So yeah, and I put that out there freely to let anybody know that if there was someone in the world who should have known about money, it should have been me. I grew up on a trading floor on Wall Street, I should have known, and I didn't. You know, we, especially as a woman, you know, I think that we don't have role models very much in the money world. You know, I got my compensation package from Goldman Sachs, where I was working at the time. Do you think I ever opened it to look at it? I stuffed it in a drawer with all those other papers and never even realized how my pension was being invested. And did we have an HR meeting then to explain it to us? I don't even remember, that's so many years ago. But it's just something that we don't deal with, and we put on the back burner for later. And when I finally got that wake-up call, it was like, wow, I need to learn something. and then it became my mission to help other women take care of themselves. Certainly ourselves personally, and then how we take care of our money affects our family. And you said, the ability to give, to donate to causes that are important for us, and make a difference in the world. It's a huge part of the money message that I want to bring to women.
Yeah, because you can be super smart, super educated, and have really, on the surface, really successful businesses and a successful life, but the money can be very, it's something that we don't openly talk about. We can hide, we put things in drawers, and we put it into the back of our minds, and it can come back to bite us quite badly.
And I think that also in the online world, so many women, and there are really a lot of women out there in the entrepreneurial online space. There's such a focus on our business and our business finances, and let's hustle to get to 6 figures, and then multiple 6 figures, and then 7 figures. But I also see that there are so many women just taking their money and putting it back into their businesses, and they're waiting for some, big, bell to go off and say, okay, now you've made it, now you can start focusing on your personal finances. And really, just like we take baby steps, we have to take baby steps to build our nest egg for the future, because none of us want to be working in these businesses when we're like 80, 100, maybe some of us, maybe we'll all be like Louise Hay, and we'll be, we'll be working in our businesses till 90, God willing. But let's take care of ourselves and put some money aside, and let our wealth grow nicely and beautifully and slowly like it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's such an abundant mindset. I love it. So there's no milestone that you have to reach to start to work with you, or to start to work on your personal finance. This is something you need to be doing from the beginning. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. And if you haven't done it, if you didn't do it yesterday, then today is the best day to start.
Nice.
Because tomorrow you've lost one day, so you want to get going with it as quickly as possible.
Definitely. So for people for our audience, for women who have maybe not given a serious thought to personal finances, what's a really good place to start?
The first place is to track your money. Just look and connect and get intimate with what's going on in your money, and notice, what are you spending your money on? And are those, expenses, are they in alignment with your values? Right. I worked a few years ago with a woman. She was pre-retirement age. And she and her husband, they lived a simple life. They were not extravagant people. And she did this exercise for a couple of months. And when we talked about it, I said, are they in alignment with your values? She said, I realized that I was spending too much money on clothes. And if you would look at her, Alex, you would say, okay, she doesn't look like a clothes horse to me. But they didn't have any kids. And it was really important for them to leave a legacy when they passed away. And she wanted to have more money in that sort of legacy pot, to give to charity that she had on her clothes. And she realized that, what she was doing wasn't in alignment with her values. And that was such a beautiful wake-up call for someone who, really, really saw it. And again, she wasn't in debt. They had all of their needs met, and still she wanted to leave more of an impact in this world.
That's a lovely, lovely story. Amazing. You talked about values. What values are important to you as a business owner?
So I have a large family. I said, before, my husband had cancer when we had 6 kids. Now we have 8 kids.
Oh my goodness.
So family is really, really, really important to me. And it's important for me to be able to build my business around my family. Now, I won't say that I'm the best at it. It's a work in progress. We build our wealth slowly. We build our businesses slowly. So being very, very, having strong limits around and boundaries around what I do in my business and what I do in my family is a life work. My husband says, maybe we could have dinner every night at 7 o'clock as a family. Like, okay, make sure not to plan any calls, overseas, whatever, during that time, and make sure that I'm here and present. So again, it's a work in progress, but that's really important, and being able to take time off to be with my family and not be in the business, but to have holidays, whether they're summer holidays or the Jewish holidays, that's really important for me. And I have religious practices where, I have my regular daily prayer rituals or practices, and that's also how I connect with, the higher source and ask for inspiration and guidance and profitability and continued sustenance and sustainability. So my family and my religion are really the main practices and values. And as I said, in giving back, I mean, that's a religious practice also. And it's something that I was brought up with also. My parents were very involved in, whether it's the Jewish community in Los Angeles where I grew up. My parents now are huge supporters of the opera in Los Angeles, and they're on the opera board. So I grew up with a value of giving and giving back.
That's amazing. And there's ways to give back using money and using your time, but you have to build that in, right? You have to, sometimes there's a pressure that of lack, like it's a lack mentality to feel that you don't have enough to look after yourself or to give. But I liked how you mentioned boundaries and having boundaries around your time and around your money as well, and about carving out what's important for you to invest in yourself, your business, and to give generously.
Right.
I love that. And the boundaries as well, you mentioned. I'm curious, well, I know in my own practice as well that having boundaries around money, around relationships, around business, it's the same practice. It's a discipline to build that boundary. And what's that phrase? How you do anything is how you do everything. So if you have kind of rubbish boundaries around relationships, around self-care or self-love, or around your practices, your daily practices, then it's likely that you'll have, presumably the logic follows that the boundaries around money will also be poor as well. Would you agree?
It was interesting. In one of my local Facebook groups, entrepreneurial groups here, we were sort of talking about that idea just last week, and sort of feeling that if we did everything really top notch, then we would all be like dish rags. But you know what? And some people can have really, really good boundaries around their food, and they could take care of themselves and have really clean eating, but maybe their outlet is on spending too much, or I think that if we have that awareness, then we're always in progress mode, and we're always working to a higher ideal and a higher level of perfection. So there are definitely people who don't take care of themselves in all sorts of ways: money and food and exercise, health. They don't sleep properly. Those of us who are a teeny bit more self-aware, maybe that's where I'll put myself, a teeny bit more, we do better, and we're trying to just raise the bar all the time. So I don't think any of us ever reach perfection, because that's a moving target. But as long as we're working and we're showing up and we're doing the work, then we can only focus on so much. So maybe this month or this year we're focusing on the money, and the exercise takes a little bit of a backseat, and next year it'll be a little bit more on the exercise, but we're working and we're in progress, and I think that's the important point.
Brilliant. And so the kind of building the awareness, that starts with being aware of how you spend your money, and that's a great foundation to go from.
Yeah.
So then what would you advise somebody, or what would you recommend next after, say you're already aware of where you spend your money, know you need to maybe rein it in here or ramp it up here. In terms of maybe investing, do you have any tips for how to get started with building a personal wealth or investing?
So, I mean, we talked about that. I'm gonna give you a link at the end of the interview, because I did a webinar recently on investing essentials for women. And so there are some very practical, actionable steps in that webinar, and it's just important to start. Women have not been given a lot of back, and I mean, it's not just women, men, women. We didn't get this information when we were in school about how to start investing. We learned about history and battles and wars all over the world, and could name how many battalions were killed here, there, and the other thing. But how to take care of ourselves financially, like this is like everyday stuff that we never learned. So it's important to just get started. A lot of people they want to wait for the confidence to, when I know more and when I know everything, then I'm going to start investing. But you know what? That confidence comes by taking those first steps, by actually putting some money into the financial markets. And, as I said, I made some really dumb mistakes, and I learned because of it, and just part of the process. When I see my kids, now I'm a grandmother actually, but when, when kids start walking, they sort of stand up and they fall down. They stand up, they fall down. Like they get bumps and bruises, and the same with riding a bicycle. And we have to be willing to let ourselves fall down a little bit when it comes to investing. And what I like to compare it with, we're so afraid of losing money in the stock markets. And we hear stories, and we remember the financial market crash of 2008. And we're just like, oh no, I'm going to lose everything. But, we, especially women, we waste money all the time. Go look in your closet and tell me how many things you spent money on that you never wear, or that you wore once. And this is like money that we've lost it. We bought that pair of shoes that was going to make us feel like $1 million, and then it pinched our feet and we never wore it again. So we've already wasted that $100 on that shoes, and add up all the things over, 30 years or 40 years of life. We've dumped a lot of money down the drain. And if we just start taking little baby steps, investing in the financial markets, we'll realize that it's not such a risky thing after all. Yes, you have to do your research. You have to understand what would be a suitable investment portfolio for yourself at each stage of life. But I want to just take away the fear of investing, because we've already dumped a lot of money on stupid things in our life, right? We've already wasted it. So get yourself started with $100 in the market. And these days it's so easy. There are robo-advisors, like robots, and there are apps on your phone that you can get just to start putting little bits of money in the market and getting started. And once you have yourself in a process, then you're going to take more interest, and you're going to start thinking, does this make sense? Oh, maybe I should do a little bit more research here. Maybe I should take an online class, or read an article, or Google something. And once we're involved, then it becomes part of our life, and we'll take better care of ourselves and take charge of our money better.
Awesome. And do you think that dedicating a set amount of time a week or a day to look at this, would you include it in your personal practice, like the research or the monitoring or anything like that?
Well, you're talking to a money nerd. So this is part of my daily practice. I'm always looking, I'm always reading, but for people who this isn't what they do, is their day-to-day life, set aside 5 minutes a day. Google something. You want to know what stocks are. I sit with people in meetings, and I'm like, do you know the difference between stocks and bonds? They're like, no, they don't know. So, just Google, what is a stock? What is a bond? Spend 5 minutes a day. Go into a newspaper. It can be an online newspaper. It can be a real life newspaper, and read the financial section. And in the beginning, it's going to be a foreign language. You're living in Thailand, right? I'm living in Israel, right? We're both surrounded by languages that we didn't grow up with. It'll be a foreign country the first time you start, but you get your ears and your eyes attuned to a different language, and all of a sudden, one day you're reading and you're like, oh, that makes sense. And we've internalized the information, and it just becomes a part of us. So set aside, put in your diary 5 minutes a day. Just commit to 5 minutes. That's it. No more.
Baby steps.
Baby steps all the way.
And you mentioned that you work mainly with women, and I'm interested in the different approaches that men and women take towards money. And do you see that clearly in the work that you do?
It could be that maybe because my marketing is very directed towards women, it's a little bit softer. I might, call in some men who are a little bit softer with the way they deal with money. But in general, out there in the big world, there definitely is a divide between the way men and women deal with money. Men naturally have greater confidence to go out there and to start investing. And I don't know if it's true, if there's any research on it, but men play contact sports, right? They'll go and they'll bash each other up playing rugby or playing football or something like that. And women, that yes, there are some women in contact sports, but mostly we're, doing maybe softer sports like, I don't know, netball or tennis or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But men have this more aggressive nature. They have, even if they're not confident, they're just willing to throw themselves in. Whereas a woman will stand back, she'll be overwhelmed, she won't know how to start, and she'll be much more hesitant. And what we've seen, though, this is research actually bears this out, that if you look at the results of male investors versus female investors, because women, we have this endurance quality about us, right?
Okay.
It's what enables us to, like, carry a baby in our bellies for 9 months, because we can like stay in the process, and we can have longer endurance. When men invest, they tend to go in and out of the markets trying to time it and buying and selling. And women will just buy something and hold on to it for a longer period of time, and they'll stay with it. And female investors, women investors, will have a better long-term record than men, because they've chosen, they've done it, and they've held on to it. But they just have to, like, get in there and get going. That's what's holding them back, is just get over that hurdle and start.
Just start. That's so interesting that there is that difference in terms of that kind of really kind of aggressive tactic. And that's what I think of when I think of Wall Street or financial trading, is the shouting and it is very male dominated. And so it's hard for a woman to even want to get involved in that, but it doesn't have to be like that.
Well, not only does it not have to be like that, but one of my favorite sayings, and I say this all the time, is that taking care of your money is an exquisite act of self-care.
Nice, yeah.
And we know how to take care of ourselves. We give ourselves massages, and we go to exercise and yoga and all of these, whether it's mindful practices and physical practices, taking care of ourselves. And when we're taking care of our money, like, it reduces stress in our lives. We can sleep better at night. We know that when we're 85 years old, we don't have to be going and, doing another launch to bring in money into our business or something like that, because we will have built up this nicey, juicy pot of wealth that's waiting there for us. So money is self-care.
I love that. Money is self-care. It's my new mantra.
Okay, great.
And in terms of having an online business, meaning that you can work with people from all around the world, what kind of impact has that had on your lifestyle?
Well, it's given me the flexibility to start my day when I want it, to end my day when I want to, which is sometimes maybe later than my husband wants. But when I worked in corporate, I worked in our central bank, I had to be in the office like 8:30 in the morning. And now I go spinning 3 times a week, and I don't start working until 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's really nice. So I can take care of myself. When I've had children various times who've needed therapy or something, I could take the time off in, again, the morning hours, the afternoon hours. So it's given me a tremendous amount of flexibility to take care of my family, which is one of my values. And I just love meeting people from different places in the world, different cultures, different environments, different life experiences. It's just really exciting, opening up my world to, a greater global world.
Yeah, this is quite different from working for somebody else. That's definitely been my experience anyway.
Yeah.
So I really wanted.
I would say it requires discipline. That's the one thing when you said, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So, we're pretty disciplined about our money, but the time issue, when I have like a large family in the business, that's where I said before, the boundary issue is very, very critical. And it's a learning process, how to do it better every day or every month.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. And discipline, like in terms of my daily practice and what I do with my clients and in my life, it's about building that discipline so that you can use it in different areas of your life, like food, money, like, the big areas. Like discipline, I think, is a really important part of being self-employed, about showing up in life. So I love that. So I had a question for you about passive income, because it's something that's been in the digital nomad world, it's one of the goals is to have passive income.
Right.
And I, as a business owner and running a business that I love, I'm really passionate about active income, like actively, taking responsibility for wealth building and for making money. And so passive income for me is like a really contentious subject. And I wondered what your thoughts on it were.
When you say passive income, do you mean passive income in your business? I'm just not sure, because let's say, for example, I have a self-study course that I sell online. So somebody presses the buy button, and I haven't done anything. I mean, I maybe have marketed it here or there, and then the money comes in. Is it that kind of passive income that you're talking about? Is it owning an investment property where you're getting rental income? So can you just define for me a little bit more what you mean by passive income?
Sure. Well, even you asking that question, I think it's brilliant, because there's so many different ways to think about passive income. But the idea that you could set up a business and have passive income and just swan off into the sunset, I think I think it's very misleading in terms of having a freedom-based business and a freedom lifestyle. And so what I'm interested in then from you is, how many different ways can you have passive income? Like how does passive income work? How can you make it work in your business?
Okay, so so I just gave you, for example, two different ways that you can have passive income. Is that you can sell products online, but even let's say a rental property, there's often some involvement that you have to have, unless you're, let's go and say, invest in commercial real estate, for example, where somebody else is managing the project and then you're just getting a rent check in the mail. If we're talking about, let's say, smaller scale online entrepreneurs, there's usually some work involved. So it's more like leveraged income rather than passive income, because I can put one set of effort into building a self-study course online, and then the money will come in afterwards, but I still have to do something for it. So I think that we have, in our day and age, it's something that when I started, in finances over 30 years ago, it didn't exist the way. There was no internet, back then. So it didn't exist. But I've noticed recently that people can really design their businesses and design their life however they want to. I mean, I was at a financial conference last month in the United States, and there are people who are bloggers who are making money, like affiliate income, and that's pretty passive. There are podcasters, there are YouTubers, there are people with courses, so as an online entrepreneur, we have tremendous variety and choice at our fingertips. The important thing I'd say is just to pick one and get really, really good at that. And after you've mastered the art of being a great, course producer and seller online, then you can move into a different type of income stream. Because what you said about, the way we do anything is the way we do everything. And if we're all over the place, right, we're picking, I want to do this, and picking 4 or 5 different things, then we're not going to show up anywhere with full, in our full strength and our full power and our full confidence, because we're just going to be too scatterbrained. So just pick one and go with it and see how it goes.
Incredible. That's like such a value-packed piece of advice. And I love the idea of leveraging income. And having diverse income streams is totally doable, totally manageable and possible in these kind of businesses that we're building, because we're moving into this. I like the term entrepreneur revolution. That's where we're going with the direction of society and making money online more than anything as entrepreneurs. And there's just so many different ways to do it. But like you say, keep your focus. Keep your focus. Yeah. Right. Incredible.
And it takes time. I would just say it takes time. Those of us, you and I have both been in the online world for a little while, and our role models have been there for so many more years than we have. And we can't expect that we're going to have their income straight away. We need to also, I don't want to say pay our dues, but we need to be in the process for a little while. So don't give up too quickly. So many, entrepreneurs give up just about when things are about to shift. And
Yeah.
so, and I compare that to, to compound interest on an investment. And if you look at the graph in the beginning is like pretty kind of horizontal. The curve is just starting to tilt up, and then boom, at some point it's exponential growth. So we have to have the patience and the discipline to stay with it while we're going through those initial stages and watching growth build up very, very slowly, because one day, boom, it's going to take off, and that's when we're going to really enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Incredible. Yes, it's all about those baby steps and just keep practicing that discipline and staying in there. You mentioned role models there. How important are role models for you?
Role models for me is everything, everything. Yeah. When I transitioned from corporate to personal finance, I had my role models in personal financial planning, and then when I got a certificate in money coaching, I had another mentor, and these are people that I still have as my mentors. I haven't left them. Building my online business, I have a business coach, and every mentor that I've worked with, and I've worked with some that I'm like, that was a mistake, and have to let those go. But the mentors are there for me. They're my support network. They're my accountability, because I said I have a large family, and if I don't have to show up and say, okay, I did A, B, C, D, or I was supposed to do A, B, C, and D, and I got A and B done. But getting A and B done is better than doing nothing because I got too much, laundry done or cooking or something. It forces me to show up and do the work. And mentors are everything. Their experience, their wisdom, sharing with you what worked and what didn't work. Being able to brainstorm. We're as entrepreneurs, we're so isolated. We're in our own world, in our four walls, and that's really, really hard. Even from a mindset point of view, it's like, oh, is this ever going to work? And you have a cheering, committee there where you have a mentor also who just keeps reinforcing and helping you to take those baby steps and go to the next level.
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important. And you can fill your head with so much rubbish around what your peers are doing or what's happening in the world, or like the success stories. And if you don't work with a mentor, it can get really overwhelming. And you think it's not working for you, but really it's about putting in the action, the tiny steps, and getting support. That's fantastic. I think you're doing such incredible work. It's such a joy to speak to you today and learn from your complete wealth of knowledge, as it were.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you so much.
You mentioned earlier the offer that you're sharing with us, which is very generous of you too. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Right. So again, I did recently a webinar on investing. It's called Investing Essentials for Women, because I definitely have seen in my years of working in finance that women are more hesitant. And once we get some of the basics, as you said before, there's a lot of financial mumbo jumbo. But I like to explain things in easy, no nonsense ways that people are like, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. I can take that on and I can do it. So I'm offering your listeners access to that webinar. And I think you'll give the link below, but it's just debbiesasson.com/summit. That's all. And you go sign up and get the webinar, get yourself a cup of coffee. It's about 45 minutes long. And listen and get some knowledge that you didn't have before, so that you can start building your wealth and taking care of yourself both today and long into the future.
Incredible. Well, I know for me, for sure, I'll be signing up, and hopefully I can keep you posted on my investment portfolio results. But yeah, I encourage everybody needs to take responsibility for their personal finance. So go and check out Debbie's work, sign up for that webinar. And yeah, we're all growing in this together. We're all taking these action steps together, bit by bit. And what a journey it is. What an absolute privilege. Highs and lows.
That's right.
And I'm so grateful for you sharing your experience and sharing your stories with us. It's been a lot of fun talking to you today. So thank you.
Thank you, Alex. It's been a real pleasure being here with you. Thanks so much.
Take care. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.